Hello and welcome to another edition of Chill with Kaiju Kim. I'm Kaiju Kim. Hope you're all doing well on this lovely afternoon, evening, whatever time it is for you. Happy Father's Day to all the fantastic fathers out there. Speaking of fantastic fathers, I have a very, very special guest tonight. This man is not only partially responsible for my existence, but he is basically responsible for the existence of this channel because he is the man who introduced me to Godzilla at a very young age. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to my dad, Dr. Calvin Hogue.
And hello, and thank you for inviting me, on the show. Yes, I do take blame, and I do take blame for her being here. And yes, that's what fathers, they do, procreate. And
It's all your fault, Dad.
Yes, I do. And I have to be responsible for the Godzilla thing that's in her life. I'm not ashamed because there's other things you can teach children. There's evil things, or you can teach them love or hate. I taught Godzilla. So there. Thank you for welcoming me in to the show.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on, Daddy. Let's see who we have in the chat tonight. We got Godzilla 93. Happy Father's Day, good sir. Hello, hello. We've got Raf and Shema. Hello, thanks for stopping by. Happy Father's Day. Godzilla Train 1090. Hello, hello. Thank you, thank you. All right, Dad. So before we get to the fun stuff, why don't you let the lovely people know what you do, who you are, what you're into?
Well, one thing's for sure. I just got to celebrating 11 years of my talk show. I have a show after my namesake. They call me Dr. Cal. That's my stage name. I'm a musician, but I'm also a talk show host. I have a show on Blog Talk Radio called the Dr. Cal Hour of Insight. And this show deals with brand new musicians and talented people who are in the industry trying to get started out. My job is to present them on my show live all over the world. Does it make a difference? And showcase their talents. And that's what you got to do. Everybody needs to start, especially in the industry of music. They have talent and they're not sure whether or not the people really like them. So my show gives them the launching pad they need. That's what I do. And right now, I have a lot of proud people that are on the Billboard charts that have climbed on because of the first initial invitations that came on my show. That's just part of what I do.
Awesome, awesome. And you're also an artist, a very talented artist.
Well, that's God's gift, a lot of people have gone to schools and gone to get degrees, and they don't, degrees does not define an artist. You have to either have it with you or not. It doesn't happen overnight. It's something that you have to gifted with. And with the right guidance, you can harness that God-given talent and do it. So I've been a professional illustrator, an artist, a commercial artist for over 40 plus years. My work has been all over the world. I've had work in Time Magazine. I recently just got to finish my autobiography, which will be out soon, called The Son of the Bronx, because I grew up in the Bronx. That's where I grew up. My mother is the one who really started me into the science fiction things, really.
Yes, we'll get to that. Let's just say hi to a couple more people who just popped into the chat. We got Paul Tackett in the chat. Thanks for stopping by. And Doomzilla, Rip and Tear, the Slayer is here. Happy Father's Day. And Enshima says, Dr. Cal, kaiju musician artist, coming soon to the BBC.
Right on.
All righty. All right, so Dad, I like to ask my guests 3 questions to get the conversation rolling. And those 3 questions are, how did you get into Godzilla? What's your favorite Godzilla film? And what is your favorite non-Godzilla monster movie?
Well, see, that's a very easy question for me to answer. When we were growing up, I grew up in the Bronx, and we grew up in, the housing projects in the Bronx. My mother, sweet mother, her name was Herline Hogue was her name, senior. And it was like a big family. I came from a big family from the 50s and 60s where there were 8 of us. But there was a 5 core group of us, 5 of us, that was the ones that hung out while the other bigger brothers and stuff they did what they wanted to do. This is when Godzilla was introduced to me. My mother spent a lot of time keeping up with us, and in between taking care of us, one of the things she did was taught us to sit down and watch television. Television, and if you want to believe it or not, back then I didn't have a color TV. It was all black and white, so that shows you that how long I've been around. I feel like a fossil, but I'll be okay. And with the black and white TV, we would introduce every Thanksgiving because there wasn't a whole lot of TV and we didn't have the videos. Believe me, it's crazy. After looking at technology today, I don't know how we did it. But back then, we were sat down, we watched movies like in Thanksgiving and near the holidays. They would put on movies like, Godzilla, King Kong, the original from the 30s, and she would put on Godzilla for us. And Godzilla, King of the Monsters, was the most powerful image that I've ever seen. I mean, back then wasn't no super special effects that we have today, but to have a movie with a prehistoric monster blowing fire was exciting. I mean, because that was a special effect that only the Japanese who produced movies at that time, that kind, were the best. They were the best at miniature special effects. So that has stayed with me for years. That's how I got started with Mom. And this answer to your second question, I would say one of my favorite would have to be King Kong versus Godzilla. I mean, when they brought it back, and we had so much. My kids had a lot of fun with that rich show showing up. I just loved the whole thing. Really loved it. So many funny things came out of it, and one of my favorite movies of I say with all time would be like I said the Godzilla the first one, and the ones I like that I grew up with was like Godzilla versus Sea Monster. I like Son of Godzilla. I love the Geether movies. I love that, and that's really the coolest ones I like. Now, the non-Godzilla movies would have to be the ones that try to be Godzilla. Back in 1999, they had a edition of Godzilla, which I call the fake version. Uh,
The 98 version. Oh,
98
yes.
version. Yeah, they did. Yeah, the fake one where it looked like what is that big ugly thing with beady eyes? And it didn't blow any fire. I said, how can you have Godzilla without fire? Fire the one who started the movie. So as far as firing goes, they should have fired the one who. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
I'm going on.
Hey, now
On
let's.
and uncount. But you know what I'm saying.
Mhm.
That's pretty much covers those questions there.
Awesome. I thought you were going to say Gorgo for the third answer.
I love Gorgo. I love that movie. I love it. But that's a whole nother thing. That's not Godzilla.
Yeah, but yeah, the question was like non-Godzilla, monster movie like Gorgo, Rodan. Those are the ones that you
Those are
showed
one I
me as
do.
a
I
kid.
love
Yeah.
those. Rodan and Godzilla. Matter of fact, you visit back where Gorgo destroyed certain parts of
Yes, I was in London recently. I visited Tower Bridge where Gorgo destroyed it.
destroyed it, but they did a good job of putting it back.
Oh
That's
yeah, they did. Yeah,
it's some modding technology, baby. Can't beat it.
indeed. All right, so you were just a kid when all these classic Godzilla movies came out in like the 60s and 70s, which, by the way, is referred to as the Showa era.
Yes.
So, and you've told me quite a few times that you actually got a chance to see some of these films on the big screen. What was that like?
Oh, you kidding? I didn't have color TV until I got married, believe it or not. And to watch these characters in color on the screen and watching the fire coming out with a nice yellow glow and blue glow, and just watching it to act. Because, remember, I'm looking at this film for the first time. It's not like it's been played 100 times on television. So I get the chance to feel the action and I get involved and watch these big images without interruption. And I really found it fascinating because that's why they were so successful. Because they didn't get into all the politics and all the supernatural special effects. They gave you their storylines, and you watched them go at it. The My big brother is the only one I know that went to see King Kong versus Godzilla, but I love watching Godzilla versus the Thing and all that stuff. I'll never forget the sea monsters. Unbelievable watching it on screen. It's different. It's not the same like we have it now. looking at it on big screen and all the sounds and surround sound, forget about it. You'll miss the era. You really did.
Yeah, I'm jealous. I'm like, that's it must have been so cool to like see Ghidorah the three-headed monster on the big screen.
Oh,
I would have loved to experience that.
it was cool about it. The whole thing is that nobody, you didn't have nobody interrupting. They got that popcorn, sat down, and they stayed there. We used to have what is called a double feature. Sometimes you had King Kong versus Godzilla and Ghidorah in the same theater. You just have to have enough guts to stay there long enough to watch them both. So we were spoiled back then.
Yeah,
Not
and
not
I was
drive through.
yeah, I was even more spoiled because you would always play the movies like on TV. Like I think we watched Ghidorah the three-headed monster like every week, or
It
if
was
not every day.
it was necessary.
It was
I
very
got
necessary.
It's a father's responsibility to pass on the baton. Okay, I got to
Yes,
make sure my kids get it right. Even the guests we invited over, friends, if they didn't have any understanding of Godzilla, they were expelled.
yes.
Okay, we would. I'm not saying we were strict, but if you didn't know anything about Godzilla, we gave you the look. Like,
Then they go,
who
"Ooh,
are you and what are you doing here?
ooh, no, ooh, we don't take kindly to your types around here."
Not really. Not really. And I have no shame.
Did you have a lot of cool Godzilla toys back in the day?
No, because they didn't have the technology wasn't as cool and it was very hard. We didn't have online. Believe it or not, it's crazy this era. You have everything online. If you can think about it, you did it. No, I really wished I. So all I had was, thank God I had my talent. I used to draw. They used to have these composition books, and my mother and father would get notes from my teachers because they would never find any schoolwork in it. All they would find was all these drawings of these handmade animations I did in pencil of the Ghidorah versus Godzilla and had Mothra. I used to draw these animations, and I would fill my composition with flicking the pages, making them move with my own drawings. That was what I did coming up, since I didn't have any videos.
Yeah. You wouldn't happen to have any of those lying around, would you? Like maybe somewhere buried in the depths of the basement somewhere?
No, that's old. This stuff is before I even got married and before I went to high school and stuff. But I know how to do it. I still remember how to do it. I do.
You should totally do that. You should totally like do it again and then, sell it online. Maybe I'm sure people would buy it.
I am good at that. So after all the years of learning how to draw, I can do it very well. So I haven't even thought about that. That might be a good idea. It's all original artwork, and I remember all the fights. I used to draw the fights when right in the movie scene where Geether was fighting, Rodan was following Rodan, and Rodan turned around and went into the side of Geether, and he knocked him down to the ground. I kept flicking that over and drawing that all over. I mean, I have so much history with this.
That's awesome. What are some of your favorite memories associated with Godzilla?
My favorite was when he in some of the movies when he got a little bit more to get his personality. I love the time they would show him laughing, or giggling, and you can, they didn't, make it funny, make it so obvious that it was comedic or animated, but it just you read what was being said, especially when Martha was put all that spray. He sprayed over Rodan during that movie, and then Godzilla got a kick out of it, and you can see him holding the stomach and laugh. Just to see human characteristics coming out of the made you feel like you were part of them, and that they even in their monsters they were human basically in their emotions. That I found fascinating on screen.
Yeah, that's always fun to watch. That's one of the reasons it's one of my favorite Godzilla movies too, because it starts to show Godzilla's personality.
Yeah,
Um, did you have like I'm sure you had like friends that were into Godzilla too, or
yeah. We had a friend. I had a friend named Abraham Burgers. I still used to call him Abraham Burger. Anyway, this guy was a Puerto Rican dude I went to junior high school with, because I always ran across kids who would good artists. Because when you would draw and you drew with pencils and pens, and you always have a few group of other good people who draw. So I had a friend named Abraham and another one named Carlos Cosme. We used to draw all these drawings. So we used to do pictures of Marvel comics, the Incredible Hulk, and of course Godzilla. So yeah, I shared it with other people.
That's awesome. Are you still in contact with any of these people, or are they still around?
Well, I have to take time to look them up because these are guys. Remember, I was back in junior high school days, and back then, junior high school represents when they landed on the moon for me, like in 1968. Martin
Mhm.
Luther King just got killed. I mean, these things were history. I lived through them when John F. Kennedy got killed. I was there. I had to go home from school that day. So a lot of the things that are in history books now are something I had to experience. And one of those things were the movies. See, Godzilla at that time represented escapism. It represented getting away from everything that's always around you. Not many things. We didn't get heavily into all of the stuff that like The Exorcist, and we wasn't deep into that at the time because it was early '60s, and we were going through different things and a lot of politics. So when I went to the movies, that was a chance to escape all that stuff and just to enjoy going to this world of these monsters and the universe of always good wins over evil kind of thing. The theme of good wins over evil, and that you along the lines when from the destructive beginning of Godzilla, what happened is that they made the lines more compatible to the headlines, and they start showing concerns about the Earth. They start showing the reason why he was created, and start to explain some things along the way to bring consciousness of human behavior. And they want to make you at the same time these monsters are existing, that they are part of the results of human behavior and extremism. And so there's a lot of philosophy behind the Godzilla era. I mean, it has a lot to do with human behavior and our responsibility to the planet. It's really nice stuff.
It is really nice stuff. And it's one of the reasons I'm so obsessed with the franchise. Thanks to you. It's all your fault, Dad.
Yeah, I take the blame, and so there.
We got a question from Paul Tackett. Any thoughts on Inframan?
I don't know one. Who is Inframan?
Inframan. I'm actually not familiar with it either. I think it's similar to Ultraman? Question mark.
That's interesting. I would love to answer that question. He can send it to my email, or you can just give us some information later. Because
Yeah. Sorry, Paul. We're not well versed in Tokusatsu. Just Godzilla.
yeah,
Here.
very jaundiced.
I'm learning. I'm learning.
Some of these things we talked about today, I don't think I was talked to you about them before, but it's good to review. This is what these things do.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me that a few months ago, like I asked you, like why you never showed me like Gamera and stuff when I was a kid. You said you didn't want me to be distracted from Godzilla.
Of course not, because they didn't look as good, and they didn't, costume wasn't as great.
But that adds to the charm. What do you mean?
Exactly, and plus, the Ninja Turtles wasn't out at the time. You know, you know.
I mean, I was born after Ninja Turtles, so your argument is invalid.
Oh snap! Oh, I tell you, I'm so glad I raised a respectful child.
Love
Bless
you.
yes, you better love me. So, how long do I have with you with this interview?
We usually go for about like 45 minutes to an hour,
Okay.
but I do
Well,
have a few
ask
more
away.
questions for you. You in a rush? You got somewhere to be?
No, I'm here to be with you. I'm a good father. Okay, I'm a good father. I'm ready. Yeah, throw it at me, babe. I got it. What do you want to talk about now?
All right. So, what made you want to share the franchise with your children?
Well, the whole idea is that I want a perimeter. What a good father does, like I said this earlier, I have muscles. I'm strong, and I'm very protective. But those muscles and that strength and even my ideas are not designed to control you as much as buffer. And buffer means a constant reminder of don't go here to do this thing. And this introducing you to the franchise, give you a place to escape a little bit away from everything that's going on, because that's what it's all about. These are creative science fiction images with some of the humanity ideologies, like the things that we want to see in humanity. Like what the films taught was there's always those who want the good things to happen to the planet. There was always somebody looking for the good aspects of what's going on and the rhyme and reason. So it's provoked thought about everything. Like a lot of the movies, they always talk about we need to save the world, or we need to watch the way we plant. We need to, like for instance, you had the movie when he had uh Geether they were fighting. It's the movie that I'm thinking about. Is when he versus the sea monster. Even the sea monster movie, when they were talking about the environment, they were saying, how can you can see somebody suffer and not do what you can to help them. It's easy to stand back and watch somebody. So the things about caring for people instead of yourself and learning how to be selfless and learn to give yourself was also implemented. So the movies were to me a foundation of character, uh, positive things that are part of our human race. Everybody likes to glorify all the negatives, the Jekyll and Hyde people, but I really want my kids to learn about love and that even though the situation seems impossible, at the end, if the good will prevail, I have to teach them that yes, you don't have to get up, you can be tenacious, and I love the images of tenaciousness throughout these films. So that's my reason for passing the baton on that.
When you showed me my first Godzilla movie, did you ever think that I would grow up to be a nut?
Well, see, you're a nut. Some people are macadamia nuts, some people are walnuts, but you're clearly a hazelnut. I mean,
I
no,
mean, I would think cashew, but
yeah,
hazelnut's good
well,
too.
yeah, well, it does have its slight
Yeah.
elegant touch to it. No, what I see that I really love that's part of it is that you found your niche. That's why you even study. I think you study a lot of the Japanese language because of all that influence, and that's why you're married to a handsome Asian man too. I think a lot of that has a lot to do with that influence. It's nothing wrong about it. Growing up with the images that you have, you're going to college, you got some degrees behind you, you've have a successful, happy marriage now, and you have something that's not tangled up with everybody. See, right now, watching you, even with this show, shows individualism. It shows that you have your own way of seeing things. You're not setting yourself apart from the world, but just setting a piece of yourself in the world. And like that's what I do with my shows. You're trying to make a statement to let people know that you don't have to follow the crowd all the time. You can follow who you are and still incorporate the world. You don't have to cut them out. They just don't have to be taking over your world. You don't have to be like a puppet. And that's what I love about the way you are. So you're not influenced by what everybody else does or what sometimes by the new fad, and that's strength. Believe it or not, that shows a lot of strength. And I'm very proud of that tenacity that you have. So, no, yeah, I'm proud of where you are. You can just be as nutty as you like.
Yeah, and look at all this fun stuff that I have behind me.
Well, I don't want to, you told me to behave myself on there. This is my Godzilla.
Yes,
We're
I
going
got
by
you that.
Godzilla, and we're not going to perform a CPR or anything.
Please don't.
But Godzilla, this is one of my favorite. This came from the original, and I do have. Well, let me see. One, two, three, four, and one behind me. If you look at my shoulder, there's one right over here. If you look over my shoulder, on this side, you see right back there's another Godzilla.
Yeah.
I love my statues, and I have. I will always have a love for this character. I mean, I don't know why I'm so endeared to it. I'm looking forward to the next movie. It's this escapism is the key. The key is that it's clean escapism. We're not trying to murder the world, kill the world. Everything is not kill, 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 murder, murder, murder. There's a purpose between all the Godzilla movies, even the one back in 1985. And talked about these environmental issues and the things that we all have in terms of humanity and learning how to face the monsters that are in us instead of making excuses and saying, well, that's a monster, that's a monster, there's a monster. We have to also have the ability to see whether or not we have that monstrosity in our behavior, the way we treat each other as human beings. So there's always the human element. I just will never get away from the human element of these storylines. It's beyond just the costumes and the fiery breathing. It's about how do you get along with the next person in your world or the people you come in contact with.
Very good. Very well said. All right. Comment from Mr. Leslie Chambers. How's it going? What's going on? To put it in simplistic terms, Inframan is like the Final Wars version of Ultraman, and that right there will either draw your interest or repel it. Just saying. Okay. You've seen Godzilla Final Wars, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the Final Wars is you're talking about something. When I look at the Marvel universe these days, they borrow some of the names, like Ultratron and all these different things. They had to borrow a lot of ideas from the movies from Godzilla, and again, it comes down to the a main message of what are you saying when you have these characters come? Are you saying that no matter what comes up with each character that shows it's impossible, you have always this evil person or evil foe that has an idea. This is what I want the world to be, and they always have this dictatorship that they want to make people or make whoever is under them to fall into under their rule, and that's a theme throughout these different type of movies that always have to be crushed. I mean, even the Star Trek saga, everything is about the futuristic, what I would like the world to be, and these monsters represent what you don't want the world to be. You don't want to be controlled. You want to maintain freedom. You want to have the choice. And like when you have one person trying to dominate, you have the Hitler syndrome and you have the control mechanism, which is not representative of the spirit of any man. I mean, because we're tripart type beings, which is a unit. We're three. Like we have body, with spirit, soul, and body. And a lot of us have to realize that that's what's being challenged every time you face a new enemy. And if the enemy wants to control all that freedom, that's what all these movies are really about. All these things that we see are about.
Yes.
Controlling of the human's will. Can have it.
Yes. All right. I knew this little fun fact, but do you know this fun fact from David M. Thornton? Godzilla versus the Sea Monster was originally going to be a King Kong movie. Did you know that?
Not at all. You live and learn.
Fun fact. You learn something new every day.
That's fun. Ha
All right. And we got Loopy Vid saying, Happy Father's Day, Cal.
Why, thank you. See what happens when I become
my husband, by the way.
Look at this person here. I'm responsible for her. Right. And not a bad thing. Giving good things back.
All righty. Let's see. What other questions do I have for you? So, a lot of people nowadays have just lost the ability to like simply enjoy things. Like I've actually seen people online complain that some of the newer Godzilla films aren't like realistic enough. What do you say to that?
It's the storyline again, back to the foundation of why and what it's for. Realism, if you're an artist like me, you might want to be able to paint like Michelangelo, but you ought to be able to draw cartoons like what you do with Snoopy. I mean, he's not serious art, but he's a character. You're looking for what the message is. If you start getting so technical and so particular, you lose the whole purpose of why it was produced in the first place. I'm a musician, so I think in terms of concepts. My mind's about why am I writing this song? What is it about? Because every time you go through an experience in life, there's always somebody else who will share that similar experience. And the way to project that is sometimes through a song, through a melody, through different aspects of poetry. A film like this, a film about realism and how realistic it is not you're missing the point. The point is, what is the message? What is the continuing element? What is the condition of humanity today? How can we renew the love? Every day the sun rises every day. It shines on everyone. Well, how can we embrace the garden of humanity? Every one of us are flowers in the creation. We have different colors and different textures, but we're still a flower in the garden of God and of life and of the supreme being. And so, what is realism except the realistic aspect of the condition of our human heart?
Exactly. And you know what I say to that? I say, if you want realism, watch a documentary.
That's it.
Okay. If you want realism, Godzilla's not for you. I mean, there's a time and place for, realistic stuff. And I understand that some films need to have realism in order for it to be, enjoyable. But, it's just have some fun,
It helps to lighten up.
Yes.
You'd be surprised how tense people can be about little stuff.
Oof.
And they miss the joy.
They have really no idea.
Joy. I mean, you have to have the laughter. You can't take yourself so seriously. It'll drive you nuts. You really will. And I think that's why I love the whole Godzilla theme. I love all that because it is escapism. Yes, we have to be realistic about living every day. We have to think about how the meet from point A to point B. But why should it be miserable in the process?
Exactly.
Take a break. Give yourself a break.
Just enjoy things and let people enjoy things. Just pipe down, calm down. It's gonna
Just
be
it's
okay.
not that serious. Just
It's
say
gonna be okay.
it's not that bad, really. Just say it.
Seriously.
That's
All
it.
right. We have a question from Enshoma. Do you have any favorite monster movies, Godzilla or otherwise, Dr. Cal?
Yes, I have favorite movies. Monster movies. I like. I like my daughter said earlier. I like Geether. I love Gorgo. I love movies that like I was watching the Armageddon years ago with Bill, you know, Will, whatever his name was, and then movies that deal with consequence. Got movies that really make you think about what if we were to actually come together and share the world. I mean, movies that are positive about the human spirit. I love those type of movies. I mean, I love beaches. I love movies like that. The tragedy turned into learning to really love unconditionally. I think movies that teach unconditional love attract me more than anything else because that means you love because of and in spite of at the same time. It's so I do love all the movies, romantics, comedies. I like the Marvel universe. I love that. I love the DC series, but it comes right back down to movies that are definitely going to be positive about the human experience. I love the ones where the good guy wins all the time. I'm a little lopsided like that. I mean, I don't mind the bad guy getting over every now and then, but I do have movies that shows you that there is hope, there is light at the end of the tunnel. So I love romantic comedies like You Got Mail. I love all the movies with Tom Hanks and Ryan, things of that nature. That how Harry Met Sally, movies that talks to the possibilities because I have dreams too. I have dreams, and movies allow me to dream or to see the end of a dream, the possibilities of the end. So I love the possibilities type movies, the imagine if type things.
Mm-hmm. And we got a question from Doomzilla. Dr. Cal, out of the majority of the entries of the Godzilla universe, which entries is considered your personal favorite?
My personal favorite would be the ones that's King Kong versus Godzilla, which is two different continents trying to prove who got the greatest monster. You're talking about the USA, King Kong versus the Japanese, Godzilla. I like movies that try to bring two cultures in under one roof to try to get a mutual understanding of how things should be. So I like that one. I love the King Kong versus Godzilla movies, and I just love the that part of the universe. And even in the latest one that came out a couple of years ago, it speaks to that same theory. So yeah, I love the Godzilla movies that show him trying to bring the world together at the same time, showing competitive attitudes. I mean, what I've learned from some of these movies is what they say. Like we will never own, nuclear weapons. I mean, we refuse. We will not do this. You know, I'm always searching for the love of humanity. I love people so much. I really do. And when I find a Godzilla movie that addressed the human elements, you got my attention.
Awesome, awesome. So, having grown up with these older Godzilla movies and seeing the newer ones, how would you compare the movies that you grew up with to the more recent films?
Well, you have to look at technology and you have to look at what they're trying to say. The movies now that we have so much high tech, high definition, high different computer graphics and different things that bring images that were not possible back then. We didn't have like the creation of the blue screen and this thing, different things that George Lucas created back when the Star Wars started. He started a whole different imaging. So those imagings and those possibilities, like even on video games with the realism, was not available back when I was growing up. You had to imitate it with miniatures, and you had to use models. You had to use handmade miniatures of realistic items. So the comparison nowadays is that I find the movies back then a lot of fun because I can still see the strings that are moving the legs and stuff. I see some of the amateur like things that made things move. But nowadays they move all the strings, all the hangers, the green backgrounds. They have a way of eliminating all the little things that show you how these things are done, the flight and all that. Yeah, I love the imaging of the new stuff, but I do miss some of the corny rubber suits and stuff of the old movies. So to me, I have to say I enjoy both, but realistically, I love the new technology. I would say I would take it over now. Now the new technology, I like the new ones better because I'm not distracted by the costumes and the strings and the things falling off and all that. But yeah, I would
But
say
again, that adds to the charm.
yeah, I knew. You know, I love them both, but yeah, I'll give the new ones the edge because of technology.
Okay. How about story wise? Do you think like the stories have improved over the years? But then again, I do remember you fast forwarding through the stories of the old ones. But from what you remember of the stories.
Well, I do remember the story. That's why I fast forward them because I remember. I know it's going to be said. I like to get to the juicy parts when they knock down the buildings, and which is another question: how fast do they build these buildings back with the urban needs of housing people going out of homes? Anyway, that's a whole nother political issue. Yeah. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. Now, this will emphasize what you want me to say in this question. Now, you said, how do I what?
How do you feel about like the stories, like the
Yeah,
plot?
let me tell you about the plots. I like the plots and the movies that try to get into um, all the different aspects of the person. The plots that I find are nicer when you understand and you start to care about the people and the characters that they develop. We had the background, like for instance, Godzilla movies. Eventually he's going to get up and start blowing things up. But I like the plots that deal with the individuals that are involved, like the professors, the doctors, the sisters and brother relationships. I like the stories that talk about who these people are, so you care about them. So when the destruction comes, you feel that you lost his personality. So with that being said, the plots now are a lot more intimate than back then. It was a little bit simple. Not a lot of things were going on in the world. There was a lot of simplicity back then. The plots nowadays are a lot more complicated because you have to intrigue the people. So I would say the plots now are more aggressive because you can always guess the end in the old movies, but these new movies and the way they come out, they have to be very sharp on how to twist and turn and have alternate ends to the storyline. So I like the new stuff because it keeps you guessing. I love the mystery and the surprise endings kind of thing. I do like the new plots better than the old. Yeah.
Hmm, all right. From Badre Bale, hello from Egypt. Have you been into Toku hero shows like Ultraman, Kamen Rider, Sentai, Spectreman, or Johnny Sokko?
No, but I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna make a list and start to learn about these things because they sound exciting, especially Ultraman. I have to take a look at that. I created a character called Anti Man back in the '70s. Nobody even know about it. I have characters now that I have a series of comic books I'm going to write called it's called Galactic Swords of Freedom. Let me say it again, Galactic Swords of Freedom. I still got drawings that I did back about 20 years ago. So there's a lot of room for things like that about heroes and a Spectrum Man, all these different names. I will take you up on that, my brother from Egypt. I will take you up on that and look at these up. And the next time my daughter has me back, I'll have some answers for you on each one of these things. I'm very interested. You got my mojo up.
All right, I have the Ultraman series on DVD if you want to borrow it.
Yes, I need to learn. Educate, Dad.
Yes, I need to educate you. You've
Yes,
taught me, now
please.
I must teach you.
Please. What is this? A Pokemon song? I teach you. You teach.
You teach
Yeah,
me, and
don't
I'll
start.
teach you.
I'm intrigued.
Oy vey. Okay. We got another question from Doomzilla. Have you considered reading some of the Godzilla comics that have released recently?
I don't. I haven't considered them, but I definitely will because I didn't know they were there. I thought maybe they exhausted their ideas because you look on Netflix, they have a special Godzilla animated thing happening, and there's a lot of different things being put it out. So I would love to just send the information to my sweetheart daughter, and she'll get it to me because the more I know about him, the better I feel. I don't want to be left out the universe. I mean, even though I'm getting a little
Oh my god.
elderly, I want to not lose touch. So thank you.
So wait, do you not know that there's a series happening right now called Godzilla versus Mighty Morphin Power Rangers?
I don't think so. They better not, because that means they have to
Listen.
renovate the cities again. Those poor
Yeah,
buildings that
there's a comic book series. I made videos on it, Dad.
what what I'm thinking about is like, how do they build those buildings back? Where does the people live? I mean, how's it?
I don't know. They got some sort of just snap their fingers in the boom. I don't know what happens.
The urban development? It's like all the humanity, really.
All right, we got a question from my husband. I know you're a fan of Astro Boy. How did that come about?
Oh, you're kidding! I grew up with that in the '60s, and I used to watch this. You'd be a show called the Sandy Becker Show, and I still got my dolls. I love Astro Boy because I used to draw pictures of him all the time. I've actually learned my cartoon techniques by trying to imitate Astro Boy, even Gigantor. I mean, The Eighth Man. I love those movies those at the time. Those were also in black and white. Oh yeah, I love Astro Boy. I still got a copy of the one they did a few years ago. But growing up with that stuff was, again, escapism. Imagining yourself, transforming and doing all these different things and being so cute looking at the same time being so powerful. It's all beautiful. My curiosity is this escapism is all. That's it. That's why I'm a fan of Astro Boy.
Yeah. Anshima says that you might enjoy Ultra Q as well. I also have the Blu-ray of that. I'll share it with you.
Why, thank you.
Ultra Q is like kind of like Twilight Zone, but with monsters.
Well, I'll take it. I'm a native New Yorker. I'm used to monsters. Please, bring it on.
Yeah, and David says before you watch Ultraman, watch Ultra Q, the kaiju series that led to the Ultraman series. Yes, I will make sure you watch Ultra Q before you watch Ultraman. Yes,
I'd appreciate it because I mean, as the cycle goes by, you like the Pokemon theme. You teach me, I teach you.
You teach me, I teach you.
Oh, hit it, babe. Just like and it's like I'm pliable. I'm a pliable man. Even though I have a lot of things to share and more to share, I'm always teachable. So share, please.
Yes, I will share all the things with you.
Well, you share that leftover pizza though. No,
listen. I might need help with the food. Yeah. Everyone's you can come on over. Alrighty. So, what would you say is your least favorite Godzilla film?
I would say my least favorite film was the one I talked about. That fake one in 1998, the fake one that I was so hyped up to see this great movie being made in the United States, powerful effects, big, and no fire. I mean, how can you have Godzilla without fire breathing? I said the basic Godzilla movie. I mean, even if you have a hand puppet, had some fire. So I definitely don't want to see it. They should take it off. They should put it, and they put in front of it, not Godzilla. That's what they should do. They should put three letters in front of it. So there.
Yeah, a lot of people have opinions of that film. So yeah. I mean, if it was called anything other than Godzilla, it probably wouldn't have been hated as much as it is.
Yeah, well, no, they should have said not, and they would have saved themselves.
Yeah, well. What's done is done.
Yes, it's in history. None.
Yeah. Oh boy. Did you see the cartoon series, the Hanna-Barbera one, which I'm assuming our friend is referring to here?
Yes, it is. I've seen it. It's corny. They got Godzilla looking like some kind of overgrown lizard. I mean, didn't even have the right ear and didn't even growl like him. I mean, if you're gonna do Godzilla, no.
He just sounds like
yeah. He's like a lizard that just lost his way. He's a big lizard. Doesn't deserve the name Godzilla.
Yeah.
So there.
Yeah. From our friend Badre. I hope I'm saying your name right. Speaking of Astro Boy, did you hear the recent news about the upcoming Astro Boy CG reboot?
Oh man, no. Please send it to me. Send this stuff to me. What I like to let you people know that I am about to embark on a lot of different things. I do spend a lot of time on my drawing board, which behind me, I have drawings. You can see on my table some drawings, but I'll show it that the next time. A lot of things I'm doing now that will talk about the environment. I have a lot of characters of my own that belongs to my marketing company. They also have elements of the Astro Boy and the different things I grew up with. Because I myself want to launch the positive things that they offer. The reason I like the Astro Boys and all these different things is because I love the message of humanity. Give me something positive. You got my attention. I'm tired of
Mhm.
the hate and stupidity. I really am.
Yeah, it's annoying. And my mistake. Doomzilla was actually referring to the animated series based on the '98 film.
Uh, it's the same, pretty much the same. The animated, you can get away with that much better than you can with the real one. Because I think the animated series, they can do what they want with it. It didn't really hurt the image of the real Godzilla, and that's again a characterization of Godzilla, and that's what you should look at it as. It's a characterization, not necessarily representation of what you good. I mean, I feel like this about stuff. I just like, for instance, I have people on my show. I was listening to a remake of a song from Roberta Flack from the '70s. The song was called "I Feel Like Making Love." Somebody took the song and took that nice hefty beat and turned it into a funeral march, and I almost gagged when I heard it. And it's the same way I feel about films that try to represent the original. If you're going to deal with the original stuff, first of all, have enough respect and understanding that people have seen the original thousands and thousands of times. And if you're going to do something as powerful as a franchise like Godzilla, make sure you have the elements that made it famous in the first place. That because you label it Godzilla, don't make it Godzilla. That because you label it something new, it isn't. Don't forget the history and the foundation of it, and don't lose the elements of it, or else you lose the people who have a decent memory of how it was presented. Like, don't just throw it out and label it and expect it to be okay. You know, do your homework.
Yeah, I mean, to give credit to that series, it is more faithful to the Godzilla we know and love than the movie is. But
Yes.
you know, it's not perfect, but no series or movie is. So what can you do? All right. So one more question here. So there's four eras. Let's see. There's the Showa era, which is the 50s to the 70s. Then there's the Heisei era, which is like the 90s. Millennium, and the newer series, which is called the Reiwa series, which has the newer, like the 2014 one that you saw. Out of those eras, what would you say is your favorite?
Well, I would have to be. I'm spoiled. I'm spoiled with the era that deals with where we are now, really, of the millennium period, and because again, they had enough history to know what worked and what didn't, and they know what it's going to be relevant to people, especially in our time, and whether or not the subject matter that the character takes up address some of the issues that we face every day. Right now, more people are more educated. They have education. They have access to the internet. They have access to any information they really want, and they have too much information, really. But the bottom line is that with that kind of access, you have to be sensible enough to adapt to what's around you and what's really believable and what's obtainable. People always dream, so you want to try to show the possibilities of each one of those dreams. If you have the way to present a concept that will also incorporate the possibilities that people think, then that makes the film work. That makes any of the stuff works because you're still communicating. I mean, we live by words. Words are important to us, and the things we hear affect our lives. And things that have affected our life came from our ears and our eyes and our senses. And our bodies are processing all the time, gathering information all the time. So you want to be conscious of that. So I say yes, please focus on the relevancy of what you're sharing and take familiar characters. That's why Star Trek. That's why a lot of these things have been around a long time. The whole new series of Star Wars, because recognizable themes are there. So don't lose cohesion. Keep the glue. Keep the glue going. Hold it together.
Indeed. All right, one more question from our friend Raf and Shoma. Favorite bands and or musicians?
Very good. I mean, understand that I've been around a long time. I was here when the Beatles came to the United States. So you're talking about different bands. I have a friend that's a heavy metal person. I love what's going on now, and what's happening now. I have an album myself. I'm doing stuff that I might be going on tour myself next year. I've played several instruments. So a lot of the stuff I like is people that can really play and at the same time make it simple. So I have fans. I love what's going on with the girl. Her name avoids me right now, but I think everybody knows who I'm talking about. Um, I love the talented people that are being presented. I mean, even the new stuff like Justin Bieber, all the stuff that's been happening the last few years, Beyonce, and the different fields there. I like what's going on with Bruno Mars. I like that stuff that's going on. I love it all. You got to understand. I've been around a long time, and I'm an instrument. I can play every instrument on the planet, so I love all of it. Different genres. I don't have, but I do lean more towards when it comes to the music side. I lean towards like guys like Najee, fusion musicians, musicians that can cross the both sides. You know, like I love the stuff that's coming out that's revisiting all that because you got to look at what's happening now. The last 20 years, people have run out of musicians. There was no musicians. Everything was computers. Everything was so synthesized that everybody kept on stealing from other art forms. I mean, you hear David Bowie and all these different stuff and all these music. Nobody's really creating anything. So, but that's why I like the head singer now. I like what's the name of this girl? She has red lips. And she's so charming. She plays guitar. She's won every award that you can think of. I don't know why her name is avoiding me right now, but anyway, I think you know who I'm talking about. I love stories that deal with the conditions, relationships. So you're asking a lot of questions. I can write them down for you, the ones that affect me now. But I'm old school. I love Earth, Wind, and Fire. I love Beatles. I love U2. I love all these different groups from all the years. I mean, they have a lot to say. I love Talking Heads from the '80s. I love the '80s era. Forget about it. I could anything. Tears, Fears, you name it. I love it. I love Shaka Khan. I love what's going on with Lionel Richie. I love what's going on with these new artists that came out. I mean, it's Justin Lee. Timberland. I mean, there's so much. So because if you look at my show for the last 11 years, you'll see what I'm talking about. Because my show, I had Dionne Warwick on my show. People still remember her, even though she's been around forever. But so you asked a tough question, man. But I'll try to answer it a little better in details later.
Yeah. In other words, you're not picky.
Oh, I am. If it's tacky, I don't want it.
That's true.
If it's not done clean, if it's not done right, if you don't tune your instrument, I don't want to hear it.
That's true.
Make sure that you understand what the words are saying. I don't want to get Scotty to try to get a universal translator to explain to me what you said. I want to make sure I understand what's being said. So keep it clear, keep it cool.
Fair enough. All right. So to wrap up our Godzilla discussion, one question I just thought up off just now. So like, what three Godzilla films would you recommend to someone who's never seen any of them before?
You have to start with the first one. Definitely the first one, beginning to see what started the craziness and what made them so terrifying. Then you want to get there's another one I love. I love the Son of Godzilla because it gives you a chance to see the humanity and the relationship. Even though we're talking monsters, just see the humanity and see the effort to try to continue the lesson of life in characters, and at the same time they tap on some of the human elements. I found that Son of Godzilla to be very nice. And then my favorite would be I would say I loved him in Godzilla versus the Sea Monster. Those are my three favorite because there's a lot of personality, especially when they start smacking a rock back and forth like a tennis ball, things like that. And the humanity is so. Those are my three right now that I would recommend if you're going to go find out about the personalities, and that's that.
All right, good answers. Good answers indeed. All right, so before we head out, why don't you go ahead and remind everyone what you do, where they can find your work, and where they can listen to your show?
Well, I'm doing a show tomorrow night. Have an artist. His name is D Brown. Very a jazz guitarist. But to really get an understanding of my music, you have to look me up and Google me. Just go for the Dr. Cal Hour of Insight. So Dr. Cal Hour of Insight, if you Google, you'll find all the years of shows I've done there. And maybe you'll find a person that you thought was never a part of it there. A lot of artists have passed my way, and each one of them are different. I mean, I have people that play heavy metal, strict metal. I mean, wicked metal stuff. Where I have guys who are strict R&B artists, and some of them are free, freelance jazz artists. Yes, Dr. Cal. Google it, and then my show's on Blog Talk Radio, so it's called Dr. Cal Hour of Insight. And if you want to see my music, you can take my name again and just put it as Dr. Cal New Jazz, and that's what they call me on the Dr. Cal New Jazz artist. And the catchphrase is Ambassador of Love. That gives you a chance on SoundCloud. You can look me up and just say Dr. Cal SoundCloud to see my music, to get some of the stuff I write over the years. That'll help you. And I can, right now I'm building my site again. This will give you a chance. The next time I will give my daughter and leave more information or for you, because I want you to be able to see my graphics. I mean, I've done a lot of things from medical illustration to comic book art. My work is all over the world. So God has blessed me with two gifts, the art and music. And that's why they call me Dr. Cal. Okay. So just use those two ways to get to me, SoundCloud and Google me for Dr. Cal Hour of Insight. You'll find a lot of information there. I have like 3 or 4 pages.
Yeah, I do have a link to your Dr. Cal Hour of Insight. Link to it is down below in the description. If you guys look down there. All right, so thank you, Daddy, for coming on to my show.
Well, I am touched. You see, I am very, very touched by this, and I will continue my relationship with Godzilla off the air.
Thank you. Please.
I won't.
Okay.
We don't want the people to think I'm told.
All right. That's our cue to wrap it up now, ladies and gentlemen. All right, to you watching at home, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with me and my fantastic guest. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Like this stream if you had a good time here tonight. And be sure to come back next Sunday for another edition of Chill with Kaiju Kim. That's 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
Thank you, daughter.